Hi friends, Scott here. It's a Sunday afternoon and just kind of tie up the weekend and I put together a plan for the week upcoming and I guess that's kind of it. Sitting actually, luckily, in an air-conditioned car, but in a very beautiful day in a beautiful spot here, very close to home, and just loving it. But I was thinking of something today as I read some devotionals and different things, and one of the topics was, where do we first see someone doing something that eventually developed into a habit, a problem, even a compulsion or an addiction if we're so genetically inclined. And do we, by the same token, drag others along in our particular problem, situation, addiction, compulsion? Because we always see somebody acting out a certain way before we do it, and that's kind of natural. So a lot of us in life, especially if we have never been around addiction or compulsion or any of these behavioral problems and different mental illnesses that are usually mixed in with those addictive areas, addictive issues. If we've not been around it, we probably don't know, but something as innocent as prodding someone to take a drink. And believe me, I did this when I was young, and I thought drinking was fun, and it was for me for a long time. And I would probably still do it if I honestly could say that I didn't think it would affect anyone else. And I suppose if in the hidden back room of your downstairs or something, you could do things like that and nobody would ever be affected. But I'll tell you something. I was involved with a lot of young people who were involved with addiction and compulsive issues. And what I found is if they liked me, if they believed I was real, and if what I shared was true, they would kind of look to me as sort of a mentor in many cases, and they would want to do what I did, So when a young person, listens to people about the disasters, the problems of whatever it is, whether it's alcoholism, drug addiction, anger fits, whatever it is, there's a lot of different things that we come together to support each other in, and let's be really honest. If we are somebody's mentor, or if the young person are really looking up to us, and we're talking about something we know is evil for an awful lot of people, and not for others, but for many it is, and for the ones who do have the propensity toward addiction, those with the genetic a flaw in their makeup, for instance, and don't let anyone fool you. These addictions are diseases, not just bad decisions like so much of the world thinks. So anyway, and they will ask you, like they asked me many times, well, Scott, do you drink? And do you smoke pot? Do you do any of these different things? Maybe have you ever done it? But the worst thing I can say to many who probably have folks in the family who have already been in trouble, so they're, as young people, coming to learn about it and how not to get involved in their own, and then they hear me say, well, yes, I drink, but I'm a social drinker, and it's not a problem. Or I smoke marijuana, but I'm a very disciplined person. I do it in the right place at the right time, and I like it. And I think anybody can do this. I think it can be controlled. And I'll tell you, I've seen thousands, and I've heard thousands of stories from people who very innocently took a drink, but they had that propensity, and some it was instant. They knew from the first drink, from the first shot, from the first toke, that they would be coming back, and that they loved what they were experiencing because they were escaping from the reality of who they were and how they felt. So I don't want to be that trigger, and I decided that some time ago that being a trigger for someone's addiction is almost like, signing their death warrant, or or issuing you just don't know, and you never know who it's going to affect. So, if anyone is involved with, especially with young people, and they will look up to you if you're real and honest and sincere. And for that very reason, I couldn't lie way back in the day, in the beginning, when I did drink and smoke pot once in a while and those kinds of things. I wouldn't lie, and kids, just like the inmates in institutions, incarcerated individuals, you can't fool them. Your vibes tell the story. So to lie is not a good deal. It just doesn't work, and you lose all sorts of credibility. So anyway, I had to make a decision at one point that I would have to be able to say to these young people, and to anyone with that propensity, and to anyone who asked, really, that no, I did not, and I would tell them why I do not, and why I stopped, and I was very lucky, because many around me became alcoholic, and somehow I was able to be as bad as them for years, and not have the genetics to force me into a place where I could not say no anymore. But anyway, as I say, I got involved with people and helped, I think, many people. And along the way, I learned that, especially for the young people, it was just a lot better for me to be able to say, no, I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't do those things. And you know what? As time went by, I felt better and better about it, because I also knew that, when I would dip in, and maybe dip in for one or two too many, I would say the odd thing, not drunken slur or speech or anything like that, but I would say something, and I would catch myself and say to myself, no, why on earth, Scott, did you say that? And I would say to myself after, wow, here I am out with, my favorite person, my favorite people, whomever, and I'm saying something stupid like that, and I'm spending an extra $20 or something every time I come out to eat with my loved ones, and for what? So that I can, kind of feel calm or something, and then come out with these statements that just aren't me, And I'm sure a lot of you do that. So, before we do things in future, maybe we need to look at, who might we be dragging along by our behavior, who could be affected, and how easy is it to not do these things. It's a good experiment, I found, and glad it proved the right way for me. But it was a great experience to decide, well, I got to see what life is like without doing these things. I'll see what life is like with it, a little bit of substance, a little bit of booze, a little bit of pot, a little bit of whatever. And at first it was very different, because a lot of people decided that their life in many ways was centered around this behavior, and that we kind of fell apart. I never disliked anybody, and I don't think anyone disliked me as a result. But people do what people do, and like doers flock together, and that's what happens. So can cause many changes, but I don't know. I think it's worth the change. Folks, I've gone on too long. I often do. My apologies. Don't forget us, 102.9 FM every week, every Tuesday at noon in Stouffville. Always looking for new guests. Everybody has a story, and I'd love to hear them. Call me up, Scott, 647-222-0515, and we'll see if we can't get you on. Tell some of your story. Anyway, folks, have a great weekend, and what's left of it, and we'll talk to you during the week. God bless. Bye for now.